For the record, introduce yourself.
So I am Hélder Almeida Santos, a docent or adjunct professor from Faculty of Pharmacy, University of Helsinki.
Okay. Miten tehdään? Puhuko mulle vai kameralle? Okay, yeah. To correct myself, talk to me.
Okay.
Not the camera. Yeah, that's
Sorry.
easy. In nutshell, what is nanomedicine?
So nanomedicines are basically an instrument to carry different kind of drugs in a so small scale that you can even inject them, for example, in humans, so that you can deliver different kind of drugs to certain places, and you can control the delivery of those drugs very precisely. But nanomedicines means a very small scale material or compound that carries a very active molecule to very specific cells or tissues in the human body.
Does nanomedicine help you to define the target where it's supposed to be going, or can you also alter the travel in a sense?
At the moment, that's not possible. You already have to define beforehand what is the target that you want to achieve. So once you define it, then, for example, after the injection of those nanomedicines, they will find that target. But you cannot, once it is inside, you cannot basically change the target at this moment.
How do you define the target?
For example, if we want to target cancer cells, we know what kind of molecules these cancer cells express on the surface by biology, and we can modify the surface of our particles to with certain, let's say, elements, compounds that they will recognize. So once they go to the bloodstream, they will kind of see those targets, or like it's basically works like in a river. If you think that if you put a boat in the river, and if you direct the boat to one side of the river where you can park your boat to a specific place, so nanomedicine works a bit like that. They have those units on the surface that will only attach to a certain place. So like also the key and on the door. So on a certain key will open certain doors. So this is how we can do it very specifically.
So what is the technique used to specify the target for the medicine?
So basically, in order to work in nanomedicine, we really have to understand a lot of things. First, we need to understand the biology, because we need to know what these cells express and how where we can attach our nanomedicines, how our nanomedicines can recognize those cells. And then we need the chemists, the engineers, to actually make those nanomedicines. So once we know the biology, for example, if we know that a certain cancer cell expresses certain kind of protein, for example, so there are tools to identify that currently. We can then find another molecule that we can engineer our nanoparticle, nanomedicine, in a such way that when it is injected inside of the bloodstream, it will find exactly that protein from that cell.
So is it basically a very specific magnet?
It can be a very specific, not a magnet, but a kind that it only recognizes that place and only it goes and attached to that place.
Yeah. So what is your specific field of research?
So at the moment we are developing different kind of nanomedicines or nanoparticles for cancer therapy, for diabetes and cardiovascular disease. So the idea is that we have this very fancy nanoparticle or nanomedicine. They are nanomedicine it just means that the nanoparticle carries a drug. That's why we call nanomedicine. But if we look just for the structure, is a nanoparticle. So we try to develop in such way that they can carry different drugs. It can be one drug. It can be multi-drugs. In the case of the cancer, you need more than one drug because then the cancer becomes resistant to the drugs. So it's good to use more than one. So we try to have this kind of complex nanoparticles so that we can tackle different kind of disease.
Are you working with the engineering, the medicine compound itself or the carriers?
We are working with both. So we, in my lab, we have the pharmacists that understand a lot about the drugs, and then we have the engineers that understand a lot of how to make these particles. And then we just try to combine these two worlds. So basically, we work with the whole package.
What are the possible carriers that you can use?
We can use quite different carriers. So we have been working a lot with a material that is called porous silicon. So this material is biodegradable and biocompatible. What does it mean? That we can inject it to the body, that it will not harm in anyhow the material itself. And the good thing is that it also starts to kind of self-destruct itself, and it's not toxic to the body. So these are called inorganic materials, and also we work also with organic materials, more or lipid base or other kind of polymer base, so that for example, if these materials go inside of a cell, they can also respond to something. For example, the difference in the pH, difference on the enzyme, in the presence of enzymes, they also might be kind of smart, intelligent to react to that.
And if I understood correctly, some of the disease can be detected by the pH value.
Yes.
And then you can, do I understand it correctly, but then you can code the particle to respond only with the certain pH areas.
That's correct. For example, we have developed, we have made our nanomedicines in such a way that they are injected to our bloodstream and they are extremely stable. So basically, nothing will happen to them if they are just in the bloodstream. But once they go inside of the cancer cells, because the pH there is much lower, the particle will kind of be destroyed. So the content inside of that particle will be released only inside of those cells. So that's why this nanomedicine approach is much more convenient, and it's much better than the conventional treatments where the patient takes a drug and because it's not precise, it just goes everywhere. It goes to all the cells. It affects all the cells. With this nanomedicine, we can target specifically to certain kind of cells. And therefore, it's, of course, better for the patients.
And this helps in kind of like the medicine excess, that it only goes where it's needed. It doesn't spread out to and waste power or energy.
Exactly. So first, we need much lower doses, because it's more efficient, and then we avoid the problems with the other with the healthy cells where they don't need the medicine, only the cells that are not healthy. So this is what we also call precise medicine. And if we are dealing, for example, with cancer, we also can make personalized medicine. So we can go to the patients, evaluate the patient kind of biology, and then take that information, make this nanomedicine specifically for that patient. Something that with the conventional or the traditional medicines, that's not possible. So it's not personalized. It's for any kind of patient, regardless of their biology structure, for example.
To understand kind of like the size scale of things, if a cell is a size of something, how small or large is this kind of nano compound compared to a cell?
So it's usually 100 times smaller.
Ah, okay.
More or less. Of course, it depends on the size, but if a cell is around 10 to 20 micron, so a nanomedicine is around, it's 100 times smaller than that.
Okay.
So, but we can make, of course, a different range of sizes with this nanomedicine, so we can really play around. We can make it even smaller than that. Even 1,000 times smaller.
Okay.
So basically, if we take the thickness of our hair, if you can see your hair, so now the nanomedicines is 1,000 times smaller than that. So we need a really special microscope to see it. We cannot see it with our bare eyes.
Yeah. On a average medicine intake or injection, is there any way to evaluate kind of like the amount of these nano compounds that will be needed for, or are used in a for a one specific time of use? How much there is of those compounds?
Yeah, so that's another beautiful thing of this nanomedicine is that you can really control that. So, for example, we know exactly how much we can inject. So we know, and we know how much actually drug medicines is actually inside of those particles or those medicines. So when we inject, because we know what is the dose that is required, we can just give certain amount of that. The good thing of that is we can engineer in such a way that, for example, if you have a headache, you need to take a normal medicine, and sometimes you need to take 2 times, 3 times, because it doesn't go away, right? So with these nanomedicines, we can make it like prolong the effect in such a way that if you take once, it can last for many, many hours, because there is a very slowly deliver or release of these medicines to your body. So we can also control that.
So you can control the dissolving.
We can control the dissolving of these drug molecules, basically.
You mentioned earlier that the problem with the current, the go-to form of medicine is that you give certain amount and hope that it finds its match.
Yes.
What are the other problems of a current way of medication that the nanomedicine can tackle?
Yeah. So the dosing is another one. So as I said, if there is a problem that a patient needs to use, needs to take the medicine several times, with the nanomedicines, we can reduce that amount. So the patient, instead of taking, let's say, 3-4 times per week, can take only 1, and that will solve the whole week, or it will help for the whole week. So that's another thing. The other good thing is that because it's more efficient, so also we can decrease the costs. So we don't need to spend so much money in terms of the drugs, because we also use much less to get a higher effect. So that those are basically the great advantage of using these nanomedicines. And of course, as I said previously, we can make it precise and we can make it personal. So those are.
What are the biggest blind spots in the research right now? What are we still looking for or trying to figure out?
So there are, of course, still a lot of challenges to overcome in this field. One of them, and the most tricky one, is that although these nanomedicines already work, they our body is very intelligent. And when they see something in the body, so when we inject this, for example, in the patients, our body, it is very intelligent that can actually take them away. So take them away means that it doesn't allow them to go to the right place. So scientists have been trying to actually solve, and we are also, my group is also trying to solve these issues, trying to minimize, blind them to basically to our body, that once they inject, the body cannot recognize that is something outside, and then of course, if it takes it away, then we lose the effect. So for example, what we've been using in my group is that we have these nanomedicines, and we have taken cancer cells or our blood cells, and we have kind of incorporate these medicines inside of these cells, so that when they are injected in the body, the body will see that, okay, these cells are actually the same cells that we have, so we should not attack them. And therefore we can get more, we can improve the effect, because then they can go to the right place. But this is basically a very difficult worldwide effect, is that the recognition of the body of a foreign material, and therefore it decreases then the efficacy. So we have been trying to solve this problem by engineering different the materials, so that the body actually doesn't recognize, or we hide these nanomedicines.
So you basically build in a stealth mode for them.
Yes, exactly.
To make them unrecognizable for the radar.
Exactly.
What do you think will be the biggest or the most revolutionary effects when the nanomedicine really kicks in?
I think it will be one, the patients will basically need to go less to the hospitals. Of course, it's more cost effective, and of course the therapies. The therapy will be much more efficient, and what we hope, of course, is to extend also the lifespan of the patients with all this. But because it's really precise and personalized, so we can even use the own cells or of the patient, own the biology structure of the patient, so we can really get much more benefits than the traditional, let's say, conventional medicines.
Do you think 25 or 30 years from now, all the medicine we will use will be somehow personalized?
I would hope so. But it's still a long way. But I guess my feeling is that the technology is going so fast. It's that could be very easily achievable in 20, 30 years.
What are the kind of like the craziest ideas that have come up that this could maybe be possible if you project all the things that we study and think about it for tens of years beforehand? What could be kind of like the craziest applications that this could open? Could we have, for example, medicine inside us looking for diseases or cancer before it happens in a way?
Yeah, so that's the other part of the medicine. So we can make it diagnostic. So there is already certain kind of I don't call it nanomedicines, because in that case we don't need actually the drug, but they are nanoparticles that we could beforehand predict or see if something is going to happen to the patient. There is already some kind of nanoparticles like that that can do that job. So you could predict beforehand, is this patient will kind of develop some cancer or diabetes or other things. So that is actually a reality that can be done.
Is there some things already that have been proven in animal testing or something, but are just waiting to get approved for human use? Is there already something found that can be very beneficial?
So the nanomedicines are already in the market. So they are already in use for the patients as
Okay.
well in the hospitals. The thing is that those were they were made like in the 70s, 80s. So currently we have much better nanomedicines than those that have been developed. But because they take so long time to get to the market, they are not yet in the market. But it is already a reality. They are already being used. Of course, they are not yet as efficient. Those old ones are not as efficient as these new ones are, but they are already a reality. They are already in common use.
So there's kind of like a new generation of
There is a quite new generation that is now kind of exploding, and hopefully in 10, 20 years they will come to the market.
So if you think about the whole scene or the whole field of study that the Helsinki University is doing, is there something that could change some disease, some relationship to some diseases, or some care in a near future, in a few years?
Definitely, I think so, and because this is a quite multidisciplinary kind of field of research, so this needs engineers talking with the medical doctors, talking with pharmacists. So basically it engages all the university community. So we have collaborations with engineers, with pharmacists, well we are from pharmacy, with the medical doctors because they understand better about certain disease. And therefore we need to sit all together and we need to work all together in order to get the best kind of approach, the best kind of medicine in order to tackle different kind of disease. So I would say that in terms of the university community, this is something great for the years to come, yes.
To sum it up, do I miss something if I think that the one goal is to find the right or the specific personalized medicine for a certain problem?
Right.
Then to put the address on it,
Yes.
to tell where to go,
Exactly.
and then to mask it in a way that the body doesn't kill it before it gets there.
Exactly.
Is there something else?
Those are the major ones.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Or do you have something in mind still?
Well, I think that's pretty much.
Okay.
If you don't have any other questions.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Yeah.